Hey everyone, I'm glad you stuck around to explore how we can get smarter and less stressed at work using AI. You're here because you want to master these tools, so let's keep this casual like we're just chatting over coffee. We're going to cover real, practical ways AI can help your job and personal life with live examples you can actually try today. I'll share a few tips so you don't end up wasting your valuable time just poking aimlessly at a chat window. I'll even show you how I personally use these tools day to day. Nothing theoretical, just stuff that made me more productive. A quick intro about me. I'm David, and I ran sales and commercial teams for 2 decades at a big pharma company. I eventually switched gears to build a small consultancy focused on AI training and social media strategy. I don't write complex code, but I use these tools to automate the daily grind so a one-person setup looks like a 5-person team. If you want to keep following this kind of practical, hands-on advice, I post more of it over at my website. Alright, let's talk about why AI actually matters in the real world. The short version is that AI automates boring, repetitive tasks and speeds up decision-making with much better data. It also improves customer experiences and drastically reduces manual human error. Imagine not spending half your week scraping reports or formatting slides, but instead spending that time actually talking to customers. For a lot of us, reclaiming that time to focus on strategy is the ultimate professional dream. Task automation is the obvious starting point for most of us. Things like data entry, schedule generation, and routine emails are prime candidates for AI support. If you can clearly define the pattern, a small automation script can take the heavy lifting off your plate. You'll reduce errors and free your team to do higher value, more creative work. Then there's data. With the right pipelines, you can dump information into an analytics AI and get actionable dashboards in minutes. No more wrestling with PowerPoint for 3 days just to pull together a basic monthly report. For commercial folks, that capability alone is a total lifesaver. Customer experience is another huge win for businesses using these tools. Chatbots can now handle most first-line queries and even route complex cases directly to humans. E-commerce platforms do real-time tracking and delivery predictions that are shockingly accurate. Big logistics and retail players are already leaning on this tech to reduce friction and boost satisfaction. Security and reliability are also major areas where AI helps us succeed. When you have repetitive documentation work, humans tend to make predictable mistakes after a long day. Automation reduces those mistakes and makes your internal processes much more scalable. If your team includes people who don't use AI, they'll be at a significant productivity disadvantage. Bottom line, knowing how to use AI isn't optional anymore if you want to stay competitive. Now, let's get a tiny bit conceptual before we jump into the demos. There are 3 practical tiers of AI we use today. First, there is generative AI, which you use to write text, generate images, or draft social posts. Second, there is AI automation, where you string together tools to perform workflows automatically. Third, there is robotic process automation, which is ideal for super repeatable, rule-based tasks. Depending on your specific role, you'll likely lean more heavily on 1 or 2 of these tiers. A quick word on the bigger picture. People often talk about narrow AI versus general intelligence. Most of what we use right now is narrow AI, which is excellent at performing one focused job very well. General intelligence would be a system that can generalize across tasks. And ASI is the theoretical future superintelligence. Cool to discuss, but for your day-to-day workflow, narrow AI and automation are the real bread and butter. Okay, let's talk about prompting, because this matters more than you might think. A bad prompt gives a bad result, but a great prompt gives you a near-finished deliverable. Here's a practical framework I use. It's called COAST. Context, objective, style, tone, audience and response format. Give the model context, state the objective, set the style, define the audience, and specify the output format. That one simple structure will save you literally hours of time. Let me show you a quick example of how powerful this is. If you just write an email, you'll get something serviceable, but it won't be great. If instead you provide the specific context and audience, the model will produce a professional email right away. That is the difference between simply chatting and prompting like a professional. You should also iterate. Don't be shy to tell the model to regenerate, make it more direct, or include a deadline. Over a few iterations, the AI learns the patterns you prefer and aligns much quicker. Now for the fun part: content creation and social media. I use a mix of language models for copy and image models for visuals. If you edit videos, cut clips, or turn long interviews into snackable content, this is especially relevant. There are tools like Descript and CapCut that do a great job in specific areas, but they each have limits like cost, manual effort, or a lack of automation for finding viral moments. That's where smart tools that focus on long to short workflows really shine. Let me be real. You don't want to manually hunt for viral moments in every long video you make. It's time-consuming, subjective, and some platforms charge you per export, which gets expensive fast. I started using a tool that automates the heavy lifting. It finds the best segments and builds ready-to-post clips. It auto-schedules posting frequency so you don't have to babysit your social feeds. The results? More consistent posting and better reach without hiring extra editors. To be clear, this isn't a magic replacement for a thoughtful content strategy. What it does is remove the boring work of spotting moments, trimming, and subtitles. You can then review the clips, tweak them, and publish with confidence. It's the difference between micromanaging every cut and letting a reliable assistant handle the messy part. When you're comparing tools, look for how well it identifies high-impact moments versus boring filler. The right tool should feel like a teammate, not another subscription that steals your time. All right, I promised demos, and we are going to get there in a second. Remember the COAST framework and the core idea of automating the repetitive stuff. Pick one task you hate this week and see if you can automate it with a simple script. Start small, iterate, and you'll be surprised how fast your productivity climbs. After this, I can share the exact prompts I use for my social campaigns. Let's move to the live demo where I show you prompt first versus COAST optimized prompts. Then, I'll show you how a long-form episode becomes a stack of bite-sized clips. Follow along if you can, and don't worry about getting it perfect right away. The goal is to leave this session with clear steps and at least one automation you can use on Monday. Let's go.